Okay, so today I received a surprise in the mail. This is a plastic Alto G whistle from the Russian Federation, and I don't know what that means. that it was an inexpensive Alto G whistle that I'd seen on Facebook, and I don't know who made it, unless it was a product of the Russian Federation. I don't know if that's a company. It's from Russia, but on a whim, I ordered this back in March, like March 13th, and it took a long time. Like, COVID happened shortly afterward. Things started shutting down, and so at some point, a couple months later, I emailed them and I said, hey, I'm no rush or anything, but do you know if any pack should I be expecting this whistle? Because it was way past the estimated arrival date, and I said, are any packages getting through? And they never responded. They just refunded me my money, so I thought maybe this would show up at some point, and it did. So that gives me hope for my other whistles, because I've got a Clover set stuck in Argentina since early May, so possibly that'll show up any day now. I've got a Cobra whistle coming from the UK any day now. So this guy showed up, and I'll have to message the seller and see if there's a way that I can pay him for it. But anyway, I have a couple of other low Gs. I know I just did a big low G comparison, but I figured this is kind of like a budget low D comparison. I've got my Dixon and my Shearwater, and then my Goldfinch. So, and then and a Carbony, because I throw the Carbony in all the time. So here's what the Russian Federation low G sounds like, or Alto G, or Mezzo G if you prefer. Before I do that, here's a look at it. It's shiny. It looks like it's actually a dark gray, like a charcoal gray rather than black. It's got, the head looks very similar to an Alba or a Chieftain. It's got this slot and then this cylindrical blade kind of in here, and then the only difference is on the underside it's got this little slot right here, which I'm assuming that is for people who chew gum. So you have a place to store your gum while you're playing your whistle, and then when you're done you can take it out and resume chewing. I don't chew gum, so it's not a feature that I would use. I would just urge people who do use it to make sure you clean it out every once in a while to prevent bacterial growth. So here is how it sounds. So it's a breathier tone than some whistles. It's not a particularly loud whistle, but it strikes me as being in tune with itself. I would say it's probably 2 fingers. it strikes me as being pretty stable. Some whistles kind of break pretty easily, and this one you can. I can give it a good amount of breath, and it stays in the first octave, unless I want it to break. And it is tunable. This head, when I got it, it was pretty flat, and I just push the head down. It moves pretty easily back and forth, but it's not loose, which is nice. So that's that one. But yeah, overall, I'm impressed. I said it seems to be just a nice, solid. Just decent, nice tone on it, and I said I think it was about $38 or something like that. So it was a good value. So here is my Goldfinch. So look at this one. This one's a breathy tone, kind of quiet. Here's the Goldfinch. So you can hear the Goldfinch is more focused. So I'm a fan of the Goldfinch whistle. The holes on the Goldfinch, if you can see, they are significantly larger than on this whistle, and the stretch is greater on the Goldfinch. This one I could probably play with. I could play with my fingertips fairly comfortably. The Goldfinch, I can play with my fingertips, but it's a little bit more comfortable for me to use Piper's grip. Probably the Goldfinch, I would say, is similar to. Okay, it's somewhere in between. Here's the Dixon, and you can see the holes. The hole sizes on the Dixon are even less. The holes are even smaller on the Dixon. So if you're looking for a small grip whistle that's low whistle, the Dixon is good. And the Dixon doesn't. It takes very little breath on the Dixon. So here's the Dixon. the Dixon, I'm having to pull back a lot. It takes very little breath, and I think that maybe you can hear as I blow harder on these bottom two notes. It starts to get a little rough. So I was talking about stability in this whistle. You hear how it's not breaking at all, and it's so even in the Goldfinch, it's a little bit more delicate than this one is. Which is you can get used to a delicate whistle. You can figure it out. The Dixon is a little this one, it seems like it's a little quieter than I would say is standard. But it's got such an interesting tone to it, like very delicate. I told someone it had like a ceramic, kind of a ceramic crispness to it. That's very interesting. Here's the Shearwater. This is another breathy one. So the Shearwater is another one that is good for stability. If you can kind of lean into it and kind of come down forcefully on some of those notes without having to worry about it breaking into the second octave so much. Consequently, it does take more breath than some of the other ones. just at this bottom part. So, if you're not expecting a loud whistle and you're not trying to overblow it, the Dixon is pretty nice. I just really like the tone on the Goldfinch, and it's just solid and smooth and full, and I like it. That one's nice too. I feel like they're almost complementary to one another, rather than competing. It's very hard going back and forth between whole positions. So if you like the breathy sound, I feel like it's breathy, but it still has a solid core. And then the Shearwater. Shearwater is also breathy. The one thing is it's not a knock on the Shearwater, but it's not tunable. So at this price point, you've got a tunable Goldfinch, and this one is also tunable, and the Dixon is tunable. The Shearwater isn't. You had to pay a little bit more. In my experience, I haven't needed, if it's tuned well to begin with, I haven't really needed a tuning slide. I normally just tune them and then leave them there. But there are some whistles that I felt like it would be nice to be able to adjust to my breath pressure or play style if I want to give it a little bit more force, but it drives it sharp. I have to pull back, and it'd be nice if I could just pull the tuning slide out slightly. So there's the ability to customize, or if you do get in a situation where temperature or who you're playing with, if you need a tuning slide, then you might want to go with one of these others that has one built in. Like I said, the Shearwater offers a tuning slide model. It just costs more. And then just for giggles, I'll run through my carbony real quick. This is not a budget model. Weird about the tuning there. Sometimes some whistles you have to blow a little harder in certain places to get them up to pitch. It doesn't. Here, this note here, the E, it feels like it's a little bit flat, maybe like if you underblow it. But this is just me earballing it. that can actually my McManus is like that. When I come down to these last two, and this isn't an E obviously because it's a G whistle, but my McManus is like that where these last two notes you have to punch them a little harder, which works out on the low end because obviously if they're if you have to blow really softly to hit that note, you don't have as much power. Just feels like a robust whistle that you can really you just push it and it takes your air a lot. So I think that's a good solid whistle. That's a good whistle too. So anyway, that was kind of long, but very interesting whistle. So I thank you, Russian Federation, for sending me a whistle. And and for the people that I don't know if I said this, I said it in one of my earlier videos, but I apologize for the vertical video format that I employ occasionally. I am aware that the only true and righteous way to record video is horizontally, but when I record horizontally, in certain instances, you see my laundry. So, and also when I'm dealing with whistles, they're a vertical thing, and you can see I can fit more of the whistle into the frame and be closer to the camera in the vertical format. So, I am sorry to the purists out there. I record horizontally when I can, but it just, for what I do, vertical works well, and I'm just propping my phone up half the time, and I'm cropping things out of the sides that I don't want to see, except for like this random scary Halloween decoration my kids were playing with earlier. Yeah, so I'm sorry if it bothers you, but I will probably do vertical video formats with frequency. So I'll do horizontal when I can, but I just, like I said, it's just a camera positioning thing for me. Like if I'm recording cinematic stuff, I do horizontal video like you're supposed to, but that's just my thing. I've even seen the public service announcement, but the vertical video syndrome, and I'm probably in the second category that they talk about. If you've seen that one, I just don't care. So anyway, I hope that was helpful.